Hi everybody, so today we're going to be making a cute little superhero. I hope you can see him. He's just kind of a cute little guy. Beads, pipe cleaners, yarn, that's pretty much it. So I hope you'll join me. Alright, so the supplies you're going to need to make this are pretty simple. You're going to need some pony beads, a pipe cleaner, some sort of a wooden bead. Now I picked these little beads up, hope you can see that, at the dollar store. They're just a packet of beads that had a whole bunch of faces on it, and a magnet, and some wool, and some wire cutters, or some scissors, but don't use your good scissors for this. And yeah, that's it. So let's get at it. Alright, so we're going to start off by using one of the pipe cleaners. We will need two. I'm going to start by putting on my beads for the legs. So if you see on this guy here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 beads for his leg. But I'm going to change it out this time and put a different colored bead for his foot. So I'm going to put 8 of the white beads on, just like this. 5, 6, 7, so 8 white beads and 1 green bead. Okay, so I'm just going to move this up a little bit because we want to put the green bead on last, unless you're going to do the same color, which is very doable. Because what we want to do is we want to fold this over, and we're going to go back up through here, and that will secure our last bead onto our pipe cleaner. Okay, so you just push that through all of those white beads, or whatever color beads you're using. I'm using white, and push them all up. Pull these down a bit and push that up there. So that will secure this side of his body, so his legs on this side. So just push them down in there snug, straighten your bead out. You may have to use some pliers to help you get everything straightened out here. And there we have our first leg. Okay, so now I'm just going to set this aside for a minute, and I'm going to grab the second one, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Okay, so we'll put on our 8 beads. Seven and 8, and we'll put our green bead, so our pony bead, our green bead, and we're going to flip this around and push all these, push this pipe cleaner back up through these white beads. So get my fingers working here and push that through, and in the same time you're kind of pulling them down towards the end, and be sure to keep this end bead kind of straight so that the holes are going this way. The holes on these ones are going this way. Okay, so get that all pushed down on there. Bring those ones down, and there we now have our legs for our little guy. So I'm just gonna get that little wire through that one. There we go. Okay, so now we have our legs for our little guy. So the next thing we need to do is to add in our body. So in this case, again, I'm going to use the green beads, but this time we're going to put the green beads through the pipe cleaner, through both pipe cleaners through the bead. Okay, so we're going to do 5 of them. So that's 5, and we'll push them right down to the bottom. Make sure you pull up your pipe cleaner and make it snug so that there's no space between the color, these beads and these beads. So now the next thing we're going to do, excuse me, is to do our arms. So our arms are going to consist of, if we look back here on our little guy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 beads. So again, I'm going to do 6 white and then green on the end. And we're going to just use one of the pipe cleaners, so spread them apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there we have our arm of our little guy. And again, we're going to put our seventh bead on. So in my case, it's the green bead. And I'm going to turn this, same as we did with the legs, and feed it back through the white beads. I'm going to go all the way through all 6 of those. And sometimes it gets all bent up, but keep at it, you'll get it. Give it a tug, straighten it out. Make sure that last bead is going this way, where these ones are, the holes are going this way. Give it a good tug, make sure it's in there snug, and then you're just gonna flip that out of the way, turn it over, and do the exact same thing on the other side. So we'll put our 6 beads. Four, 5, and 6. And push them up snug to the body. Add your extra bead, your green bead, and fish that pipe cleaner back through all of those. Grab it out on the other side. Give it a tug. Again, make sure your beads are all lined up nicely. So I just have to adjust this a little bit. There we go. You want these beads as close to the center as possible. Okay, so now we have our legs, our body, and our arms. We need to add our cape next. So I have a piece of felt that's about 3 inches by 4.5 inches. And all we're going to do is we're going to fold it in half. And I put a little scallop edge on the bottom of mine. So I just folded it in half, took my scissors and started at the fold. Started at the fold here and kind of just made some little loops. However you want to do yours is just fine. There I have some nice little edge on the bottom of my cape. So if we fold it back in half, what I'm going to do, I don't want square corners on my cape, so I'm just going to take my scissors and just round off that corner. Just like that. So now we have nice rounded edges. Now the last thing we need to do is put a hole in here. So again, we're going to fold it over. Now you don't want to cut too big of a hole, just a quite small hole. So I'm just going to line these edges all up, get it all lined up, and about 1/2 inch from the top of the felt, of the rounded edge, just going to cut a little tiny space. So now we can take our guy and bring our 2 pipe cleaners back together and feed the pipe cleaner through that hole. And that makes our cape for our little guy. Alright, so now we'll move on to the next step, which is our head. So again, I'm going to use this little bead. You use whatever you have. Put that through both pipe cleaners and push it down as snug as you can. So now the next step, I have 1 extra bead. I counted wrong apparently. We're just going to take some wool. Use whatever color wool you have on hand. And there's no right or wrong reason on way of doing this. Just going to get this out of the way here. What we're going to do, I'm just going to plug in my glue gun. I forgot to do that ahead of time. So what we need to do, you want your hair on your guy to be fairly long because you want it kind of crazy, right? You want it kind of poofy and crazy and whatnot. So these are probably 3/4 of an inch long. So all I did is I just took 3 of my fingers, held onto my yarn, and just started wrapping. Again, there's no right or wrong reason. Depends on how much hair you want him to have. Probably 15 to 20 wraps, something like that. Okay, and then take your scissors and cut it off. And now what I'm going to do is take a piece of yarn, just an extra piece, and I just removed one of my fingers, and I'm just going to tie it through the bottom so that I can tie the hair together. I don't want it coming apart. So we'll just do this and tie a little knot in here. Of course, if you have an extra set of hands, that would always be helpful. There we go. Make sure it's in the center of your little thread bundle there, and then just pull it tight. Okay, I'm just going to take my fingers out of the wool. Maybe. There we go. All right, so now I'm just going to pull it tight, and I'm going to give it another knot or two just to make sure that it all stays together nicely. All right. Now these threads, we can incorporate them into our hair. So now I'm just going to take my scissors and run it through the center of the yarn like that and just snip it. Okay, and make sure you got all your threads. Oh, I missed one there. And then turn it over and do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. Missed one there. All right. At this point in time, don't worry about whether your hair is even or not. We'll fix that in a minute. So now on our little guy, make sure your bead is pushed down, the head is pushed down as far as it'll go, and take your pipe cleaners and separate them. Take your hair where you tied it and put it in the center, and then take those twist ties and bring them together like so, and just twist it up. Just give it a couple twists. And this is where you're going to need your wire cutters or your old scissors. Once you've twisted it at least 3 times, just cut off the extra pipe cleaner. Okay, and be careful, the pipe cleaner has wire in it obviously, so it might be a little pokey. So I just take my pliers and just bend it over and then squeeze it just so that you're not going to get poked by it. All right, so now what we can do is we can give him a haircut. So what I like to do is just to bring all the hair up on top of his head like this, and just give him a little bit of a haircut. So now our little guy is done, and I'm just going to push that little pipe cleaner over a little bit more. There we go. So there is our little guy. Isn't he just so cute? Love his little afro, I guess. So now the last thing to do is, now you don't have to do this part, you can just leave it like this, but I thought it would be kind of cute to put a magnet on the back, and then we can put it on the fridge. So I just have a magnet that I had from home. Take a little bit of hot glue, put it on the back of the magnet, make sure you move your hair out of the way, and put the magnet just below where that hole is that you cut to put the head on and stuff for the cape. Put your magnet on there, and that's it. We are done. That is your little cape. Now, of course, you can personalize this all you want. It'd be kind of cute if you wanted. You could do some stitching around the cape or use whatever color beads you want. I think I might put a little hot glue just to keep this down because it seems to want to flop up and cover up his face. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the middle of the cape and stick it down to the top of those beads. There we go. That's it. There is your little superhero guy with his wacky hair. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you make some of these, I would love to see them. Pop on over to my Facebook page, Krista's So Crafty, and yeah, send me some pictures of what you've made. I'd love to see them. Happy crafting.